Long day, one of those ones where you feel like you've been working, but you're not sure what you're actually getting done. You know what I mean? I wrote a bunch of scripts last week using my own ideas and then ChatGPT as well to help me refine them, improve the hooks, and just be more succinct. And then I actually filmed those today, and then I sent them over to my video editor to be able to, for him to help me knock those out, and just gave him the script so he can reference those and make the edits and know kind of what I'm looking for in the B-roll, all which ChatGPT helps out a ton on. Then I wrote another script for Tim to film, and this one is kind of going after one of these companies that's out there. They're promoting creatine, but for females, and they're doing it like gummy form. And though I think the creative and the general thrust of it is like cool, I think it's an opportunity for us to kind of say like, hey, 5 grams of creatine in a bottle of water is actually what you need. Like, women don't need some sort of separate creatine, and this company is taking like an angle and trying to spin creatine as like, not your boyfriend's creatine kind of thing. The marketer in me enjoys it, but on the flip side, like, it just seems like marketing mumbo jumbo and not actually legit stuff. And so might be a good opportunity for us to add our expert voice into that conversation. In there is like this idea of the Trojan horse kind of thing, where you take your message and you embed it in somebody else's bigger message. So though this other company isn't like massive, it's a chance for us to kind of tap into a conversation that's already happening out there in the marketplace instead of just being our idea, right? And the more you can kind of do that and tap into bigger picture narratives, the more chance you got people to sort of talk about your content, things like that. And then on my own content, today I posted a short form video on Genghis Khan and his like leadership playbook. And if I'm being honest, like, so I'm trying to figure out like, how do I take the stuff that I'm already doing, like the books that I'm already reading, and turn them into leverage, putting on my weightlifting shoes here, and get sort of more mileage out of the stuff that I'm already interested in doing, right? So I read a lot of just military history for my own enjoyment and learning. It's like, all right, how could I kind of get more out of that by talking about it with content? But on the flip side, when the videos don't really hit and they don't really get views, you're kind of sitting there like, damn, like, should I not have put so much time in that? I think a lot about, am I confusing the algorithm or other people when they potentially see my stuff and they come as like, dude, is this guy interested in marketing? He's interested in small business stuff. He's interested in like military history and like Genghis Khan. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to follow him. I'm not going to pay attention, right? There's like that side of me that's like thinking about it in content. Then there's the other side that's like, well, if you want to be a category of one, like, everybody is unique in their own right, and the things that they're interested in give me a reason to follow them if they can kind of overlap it all in the right way. So like, hey, if you're interested in military history, if you're interested in marketing, if you're interested in business, like, and you can creatively and cohesively thread all that stuff together, that becomes an asset and a reason for people to follow you, because you have a very interesting and fresh perspective on things that they don't get other places. That's sort of where I'm at right now, just kind of thinking about content-wise for my personal brand. But what I love about these YouTube vlogs, even though I get like 5 views on it, it's pretty clear that YouTube is prioritizing short-form content. Like, this is the only long-form place. But what I love about YouTube is I just feel like way more natural. It's way more organic. I'm kind of just more interested in the thoughts that are actually happening, because it's like my day-to-day and it's like the actual business and stuff, rather the short-form stuff is all really scripted and calculated, and you feel like you got a whole lot more invested in it, because you do, where these ones, when it's just you and me talking and whoever else is watching it, it's more so like, oh, I feel like I'm building the business with this guy, or it's like, oh, I feel like I'm sitting on the couch and we're kind of just like going through different things and I'm like in his head and we're having more of a conversation. So I like making these a lot more, but it's also easier to make too. Like, I can flip this on, we can spin up a conversation, and then I can use CapCut to do transcription based editing, and I can, crank out a 10-15 minute vlog with a little bit of B-roll in 15 minutes. I've been timing myself to see how long this takes, and I can do that after we put Lily down to sleep. And then you got to do the other phase where it's like, now you're uploading the content, you're scheduling it, you're thinking about the title, you're thinking about the thumbnail, and that probably takes, I would say, about 15 additional minutes, too. And so you add a little bit of a buffer. It can take you anywhere from like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, but you can really compress that workflow and that time with AI tools. And like, once you start to iron out that workflow, then it starts to remove a lot of the friction of like what makes doing this stuff hard in the first place, is that like there's all that scheduling and thumbnail stuff where, sometimes for me, I just want to like get on this and talk and kind of catalog and document my life instead of kind of having to do all those techie things on the back end. But it's a necessary part of the beast, because if you don't get somebody to click, they're never going to see your message, they're never going to watch your video, and you're sort of just doing all this stuff just to do it. Like, you got to play the game in some form or fashion. You got to get better at learning how to do those things as a marketer and a copywriter. So week 4 in the training block, I'm going to head back there right now, take you guys with. It's either going to be pull-ups. I think it actually is pull-ups, because Friday replicates onto Monday. So we'll do some pull-ups, or it'll be trap bar deadlift, or it'll be front squat. This morning in my journal entry, I was reflecting on faith. Not from a religious standpoint, or maybe there is some overlap there, but from a entrepreneur and a spiritual standpoint of the thing that can keep you going when you're not quite where you want to be or where you thought you would be is just like faith. And I talked to one of my mentors, and I was just talking about like the frustration of being super ambitious and not feeling like I've actualized what I think my potential is and where I think we could be with Allegiate, even though of course I'm proud with all the stuff that I've done. And he was just like, infinite patience brings immediate results. Infinite patience brings immediate results. If you can have infinite patience, meaning like you believe, like you know, you feel, whatever that thing is, intuition or whatever, that this is going to work out for you, that this dream that you've had, this company that you're building is still good, it's still going to happen. You just need to have patience. And that if you can have infinite patience, that the universe is conspiring in your direction, that can bring peace now. And it's like, that's really what faith is, right? Like, I talked to some of my friends, that people of faith or that come from religion and stuff, and that have that belief. I'm like, you know what? That's a really attractive thing, because you have an answer. You have an answer to those questions. Or like when stuff's not going your way, or you're uncertain about XYZ, big existential questions, you have a foundation and a rock and a place that you can come back to. Where you don't have that, it's like a lot harder. And so a lot of what I've been thinking about now, and like just like meditation wise and from a spiritual standpoint, is just kind of like wrestling with that uncertainty and coming back to this idea of faith, this like mysterious force of belief tied to like it's gonna work out. And even though you don't know how, you still believe that it is.
3, 4, 5, there you go. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up.
But I do keep coming back to this idea with content that it's an investment and it's leverage. And if it takes me 300 of these videos to find out like what my angle is, what my style is, and then it starts hitting, then it starts picking up steam, like would it be worth it then? Because right now, it's not worth it. I can justify it by internal metrics of like the creative process where I'm creating, I'm shipping, I'm writing, I'm figuring out how this stuff works and what works and what doesn't work. And I'm actually in the arena doing it instead of just kind of like thinking about it and talking about it. So those are like, let's just call them justifications, albeit true, still justifications for the amount of time that I'm spending on this content stuff. And if I were to look at it just as that, and that's how this was always going to be, I'm not totally sure it would be worth it. It's like working out, right? I'm coming in here, I don't want to train, you don't want to train, you don't want to do XYZ, follow a plan, and you do it for, a couple times and you're motivated and then you fall off. But it's like, how do you get sustained fitness results? Like, how do you look in the mirror and get the look that you want to have? Like, you got to be consistent. You got to keep putting the time in, and you got to do it not for a couple weeks or a couple months. Like, you got to do years, decades. And so this has kind of been my dojo for like practicing that aspect of it, but with the actual creation process. And who's not to say, as you just keep chipping away at this thing, that you don't actually figure it out. And it does become a thing where now it's inbound opportunities are coming your way. People are watching your content, they become folks that want to work with you. People that watch your content, they become clients that want to buy from you. Like, all that stuff is possible if you're adding value and if you're doing good things and you're consistently putting it out there and you're getting the reps, so you're like actually good at delivering the message. Because you can have an amazing message, if you fall flat on your delivery,
your message isn't going to be as impactful as it could be. So like, I got to do this stuff to get in the reps while nobody's paying attention. And I'm thankful for that because I'm learning how to deliver my message. So let's talk updates on new locations. The original Dallas deal that we were interested in went with the yoga studio instead. We couldn't come to terms. It wasn't the right deal for us anyways. Oceanside, we countered back with a pretty aggressive and favorable deal for us that the landlord either will or won't accept, and just kind of left it like, look guys, we're not really interested in negotiating further. We've really gone a long ways on this so far, and I think for us to be in that back unit of where they ideally would like us, it would have to be a home run slam dunk offer for us to be able to feel comfortable and excited about that space. And if not, it's just too formidable of an opponent for us to move back there. We are now thinking about smaller real estate footprints. So maybe can we fit in 1,500 square feet and capture most of the revenue that we would in a 3,000 square foot space? So around me here, there's 6 squat racks. Could we do 5 squat racks at 3 to 4 people per rack and be able to capture most of the revenue that we would get at 18, but have way less expenses in terms of the rent, and then actually like maintenance of the facility because you don't have to spend as much money upkeeping the place or staffing it when it's like way smaller. Also kicked off a couple more property searches in Oceanside to see like what else is out there, right? Because if this one deal falls through, we're just caught flat-footed, where if we can find some other things that are in the mix, we can start to get an idea of what the competitive landscape looks like. And then if, you know, something exciting comes back online, we're actually prepared for it instead of just kind of waiting.